And we're live. Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey, the War Game, our live show on YouTube every month. I'm Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me tonight are my co-hosts, everybody's favorite input pimp, the Gimpy Gamer, Nate Rogers. How's it going, Nate?
Doing great. Hope all of you guys are as well. Another glorious day.
Exactly. And the War Game Wizard from Oz, the man from New Mexico, who is a little under the weather tonight. Actually, he's in Texas, but he had a nice long hiatus he's going to talk all about. Kev Sharp from the Big Board. How's it going, Kev?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Welcome. Good to be here.
Doing good? Doing better, huh?
Yeah, I'm almost 900%.
Almost 900%.
So he's got the coof.
Yeah, but he's
got some.
It's not the other. It's not the bad stuff. It's just
it's not the thing starting with C.
Yeah, it's just
who cares anyway.
Flu.
It's all the same, right?
He's got a cough due to cold.
Well, I didn't want to say the bad C because I don't want to accidentally jinx him or something.
No.
Well, that would be funny if you did, though. I'd find that.
So everybody, we haven't done a show since the beginning of June, and even you guys were like, "Oh crap, it's been that long." It's like normally we try to get one towards the middle of the month, but we weren't able to because everybody had plans, vacations. I had an anniversary and my wife's birthday, and we took some vacation. And Nate, you've been busy with your kid or your kids, I should say. And Kev, you went off on a war game retreat for a while, which made me jealous seeing all your posts. I was like, damn, son of a bitch, why can't I get like that?
Wait, I thought you went to that war game retreat.
No. He went. That was a solo war game retreat. He went on a walkabout on the war game maps.
Mike, let's go on a bloody walkabout.
He had a great time, man. I was like so jealous. I was like, oh man, I was at home. At least I did get some time at home, so I was able to get some gaming in and get to shoot some more videos and stuff. But man, I was watching all the games he was playing. I was like, damn, that's pretty awesome.
I thought you guys already did the thing in Texas. Did you guys not do that yet?
We did that. Yeah, we did that.
About?
All right, so you guys did do that.
No, I didn't go. Because I messed up the dates. And I thought I had a business trip, and at the end of the business trip, I met my wife in New Mexico, and then I gently slid her out the door and stuck her on a plane. I said, "Honey, I'll be following right after you." And about 10 days later, I came home, and so that's when that thing was, and that lock and load. What was it called? Protocon.
Yeah, it was just a local group here. It was an invite only, and Lock and Load came out, and we were checking out some stuff they were doing. And Kev messaged me and sends a picture of where he's at. And he's like, "Dude, I'm not going to make it. I'm just enjoying this too much here." And I was like, "Well, I don't blame you." So he stayed there and enjoyed all his war gaming. And
yeah,
you've been running around.
So
with your kids.
You guys got to see the prototype, it would be a prototype version of Point Blank then.
Yes, yeah, Point Blank. Well, we saw that in WBC in 2018.
Did you really?
Remember in 2018 it was there with the poker size or the tarot size cards, the big giant tarot size cards.
At 2018, I was so up World at War 85's ass. It was between that and Steve's game. Those were the two games that I was mainly focused on. That I didn't get to spend as much time with Point Blank, so it was kind of a fresh look when I got the prototype copy of it and started doing the boot camp videos.
No, it looked good. Now they've got the poker cards instead of using the tarot cards. So that was pretty cool to see having the smaller cards, and it's all very manageable. The big map on it too. But everything looks really, really good, and they should be going live very shortly. Maybe even this week. That's what they were talking about.
Well, actually, I did the intro, the Kickstarter video for that, and David was talking to me saying that was the last piece to the puzzle to get that one to go live. I figured he would have gone live by now.
Yeah, no, he definitely was saying he was waiting for you, so you were slacking, apparently.
No, I was not slacking. I have churned out massive amounts of work for that game. Although it does look like a good one, and something that people who wanted to get into upfront, who haven't been able to get upfront, go this direction.
The Hominator.
Mr. Lutman is here.
And Jim, the Grognard of the Year. Fango. And says that New Mexico is as close as you can get to Aussie land.
Yeah, as about as close as I could get anyway.
And he's got Catfest 2021. So I don't envy you on that one. I'll say that. Hey, Rich, how's it going? It's great to have everybody back. And so, what have you been playing, Nate? Aside from running around, shuttling kids to doctors and things like that.
Big thing, obviously, like I was just saying, Point Blank, right? I've been
Mm-hmm.
wrapped up in that, trying to get a video or two out a week for the boot camp, and I should be finished up with that in the next maybe 3-4 weeks. And the big one is I just put up part 8 of Company of Heroes. And some people I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of echo. I know some people don't think it's like a war game per se. It's not counters, but I think it's one of the better war games that I've played recently. I think they did a real good job translating the video game to a board game adaptation as far as capturing points and producing units, how they interact with each other. Now, the one stickler we had, and me and a guy who was in the comments were going back and forth on this the whole time. You let me know if you would agree with me on this. There are hexes on the map, and there are color borders for some of the hexes, whether it's yellow, green, or red. Red obviously means impassable. And yellow and green are types of cover, so either light cover or heavy cover, right? If your line of sight goes across that hex, that color, you would assume you get the cover bonus, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this game doesn't actually play that way. In this one, you only get the cover bonus if you're in the hex that has that color on it, because it's pretty thick along those borders of the hex. You'd have to see the map to know exactly what I'm talking about, but
Yeah.
it's not fleshed out perfectly in the rules, and evidently I wasn't the only one who was making that mistake. So they did do an errata as far as that's concerned, and I think they realized that doing the game with multiple rule books, because they divided the rules out between basic and advanced, and then the solitaire rules had their own book, and then the terrain packs added some extra rules. Some of the other expansion packs added extra rules, and they found that doing that, some people missed some of the rules. Like, I didn't get terrain pack 2, which had the big building in it model, which okay, but the model's still printed on the map, so you still play with it regardless if you have the big miniature for it or not. But I didn't have the rules.
That's goofy.
That is really weird.
To be fair, though, I could see a developer, designer making that mistake, because when you're working knee-deep into a game, sometimes you take things for granted, or a rule as like something you expect people to know without realizing it. It's easy to make that mistake, but what I do like seeing is the fact that they've learned from their mistakes and they're correcting it for the next one. Because they are going to do a 1.5 where they release it again because there's a big demand for it to go to retail and other things. It'll give people like me who missed out on a couple of packs that I want to get now a chance to pick those up. And they're going to either release for download or release for purchase. I'm not exactly sure which. Like a one-stop shopping for the rules. Right? So everything will be all together with all the errata.
Now, you said that building is part of it. You can buy a building pack or a terrain pack for it, and that's what had the rules, but it does have that building printed on the map.
Yeah.
So that's an inherent part of the rules. That's a big oversight, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't just release a PDF and just be done with it, right? Put all the rules in.
Exactly. Just put out a PDF, you're done.
Because the cool thing is the model, right? So
yeah.
No, the models are great. I got the one terrain pack because it had all the buildings and the flagpoles, the sandbags, tank traps. It had the majority of everything that you needed, and then the second one was just like specialized buildings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't as overly concerned with that, and I was like, well, I'll save a little money and I won't worry about that one. But it just so happened the big game I chose to play had that model on the map. So I was guessing at some of the rules. Like, for example, if 2 enemy units are inside the building, well, the whole building counts as having green cover. And if you're inside, do you get that cover bonus when you're attacking someone or not? Well, I don't know because I don't have the rules. The rest of the buildings are all single hex buildings, so you didn't need to know whether or not they got the bonus because only one unit could fit in there. So yeah, that was a part where they dropped the ball. The thing is, I can kind of forgive them for that because everything else with the game works so well. It just plays so good. The miniatures are excellent. The quality of the components across the board are excellent. I mean, no one's perfect. No one has ever released the perfect game. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
If you can't find something wrong with it, then you're not looking hard
Well,
enough.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
And John's commenting on the Troubles, which Kevin, Trouble, Kevin, it kind of, they kind of go hand in hand. But there's a new game coming out from Compass called The Troubles about the Troubles in Ireland, and you've got an interview scheduled with Hugh O'Donnell, the designer, and John's saying he can't imagine it being a taboo subject. The only interesting topics are taboo. Which, yeah, there's something to be said about that. But I would say it's probably not as taboo here in the States as it would be, say, in the UK and in Ireland, where there are still some, hard feelings over that. And there's, still a long running, deep-seated reservoir of ill feelings both ways over this whole thing. But either way, it's a very interesting subject. And I'm interested to see how that interview goes.
It should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
The game itself.
In the game, I was watching the Compass video the other day on Thursday, and they were talking about it. Does it play like a coin game? Is it one of those abstract type dealios?
Yeah.
It's abstract, but it's not a coin game.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but my understanding is that, and that's what I'll learn this weekend, I guess, is that it started out as a coin game, is my understanding, and then for some reason GMT elected to let it go, or there was a falling out, or whatever. I don't know. So I imagine it has pretty strong coin roots, but I don't know if that's like proprietary IP or it's a CDG is a CDG, right? So, yeah. So good luck. So I don't know. So we'll find that out. We'll find all that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's abstract from that perspective.
Well, yeah. I could see them making the call to let it go for the fact that it has, troubles with it, political troubles, I guess is the best way to put it. Controversy.
But that's bullshit. I mean, what game doesn't have, Okay, so they released Distant Plane. What about Labyrinth? I mean, they're both very topical and talk about hot potatoes way more than the Troubles. Just because you're going to piss off a few European customers in Ireland and England, or they get upset, it's more that there's probably some little activist group who've got their little panties in a twist and are uptight about it. So good on Compass for releasing the game. Too bad that GMT didn't have the backbone to do something with it and actually release it.
I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing. But look at the time frame in which Labyrinth was released. Wasn't that somewhere like 2012, 11, 13?
Yeah, I think it was like 11 or 12 or something like that.
So in that ballpark, right? It wasn't until roughly 2016 and onward that this real hard cancel culture, if a company does something that we don't like, we're going to try to destroy their entire existence and have them shut down. That mentality didn't start until then. So things that people were doing beforehand, they didn't have to worry about being attacked as viciously as they have to worry about it now. And while I don't agree with it, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Kevin, that more companies should have the balls to say, nope, we're releasing the game. Poo on you, don't buy it if you don't like it. I can see why a company would make the choice to, let's just wash our hands of it. It's easier just to back away than have to deal with the potential backlash.
Well, I really hope they don't release any more of Chad Jensen's games in the Dominant Species series, because that's pretty offensive, especially to sharks. I mean, really.
No, ants, bugs. Those are the ones you got to go with. That's my team. Right? That's my faction. Gimpy's gal, she loves that game. She loves the Euro style, but the Dominant Species, she absolutely went nuts for that one. I think it's because one of the factions were frogs. And
it's cool.
Frogs are like her all-time favorites.
Yeah, so that should be a great interview, and it really will be, because the thing I like about the subject, the whole. There's only been a few people that have complained about it. There's always going to be somebody that complains about something nowadays, but I think what Hugh has done as far as his designer notes he's been putting out there, his development information he's been putting out there, and the way he's approaching the subject is really, it's the right way it should be done. He's approaching it all as in, here's the whole story.
Yeah, it's
up to you to explore and come to your own conclusions, which is the way it should be. I mean, it should be here's all sides of the story, and because
Right.
it's a piece of history, whether people like it or not. It happened, and it affected a lot of people. And I think gaming is just like a book or a movie. It's just another way to engage people in the history. And the best part about games, in my opinion, is unlike a book or a movie where you watch it and you can get involved, but you're only involved for a short term. A game you can come back repeatedly to, and
Right.
you can play all the different sides. So you can see it from all the different perspectives.
Right.
And
Right.
when you see from all different perspectives, you gain better perspective. And I think that's one of the things that people overlook with games.
Well, if anything, it's even more relevant now because the subject's coming up more since the Brexit thing went down because some people are pushing more for the whole Irish independence, claiming Brexit is part of the reason, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it gives people a way to understand more of the history, just like Mo's saying, behind why there is a push for the independence and the whole night. We don't have to get into politics of it, but it'll be an interesting thing because I don't know that much about the specifics, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about it. So yeah, 11th
Well, I
was
remember
2010.
2010. Yeah, I remember because originally growing up in New Jersey, there's a very strong Irish presence in New Jersey, New York, and stuff like that. And like Ken was saying, check out the Dead Rabbit Bar downtown in New York City, and you'll see lots of photos of postcards depicting Brits in Ireland and some cool postcards of British armored cars. There were a lot of bars that would, there were known basically donation points for IRA and stuff like that, where people would just throw money in a till and it was being funneled to the IRA.
Oh yeah.
So that was just a way
New
of
York.
life. Yeah, New York, because there was that basically that Irish, group of people there that was supporting, sometimes unknowingly, but most of the time they knew what they were doing. And because they felt that was their way of supporting the Irish in the struggle against the British, and but there's all different aspects to it. So again, that's where I think the game could really help a lot of people get a little bit more informed on the subject, because I know I'm not as informed as I would like to be, and I think the game will help.
Well, a couple things on it. One of my favorite shows talks about it a lot. Sons of Anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
You ever see that? They
Yeah.
do a whole lot of gun running for it and the whole nine going on with it. And two, we loved the Irish because when we flew out actually on our first deployment, we stopped in Ireland. We had a layover there. So we went to one of the bars and we're drinking as much as we can. And they understood. And they were just like passing out the beers as fast as they could. And we found out that we couldn't bring beers back onto the plane. And they're like, no, that's horrible. And like, we got any styrofoam cups around here? And they found some styrofoam cups, started filling them with beer. It's like, just tell them it's water. So they sent us on the plane with as much beer as we could carry. I mean, I don't even think they charged us for half of what we drank. They were just handing out as fast as they could. I mean, nicest people. I mean, I didn't get to stay there long, but the period of time that I was in Ireland, I really liked them.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. When it comes to drinking, you'll enjoy drinking with the Irish. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They don't mind having a wee dram, do they?
No, or a dram or two. Dram's a little different in Ireland. I think a dram, like in the U.S., a dram's like about yay big. In Ireland, I think the dram is unending there. But what was I gonna say? So you like your miniatures game, and you got combat on the way. So you're all set with your games.
The only thing that I'm finishing up other than that is Resident Evil 3, but that's not a war game, but that is a Kickstarter.
Resident Evil 3. Oh, it's a Kickstarter. Okay, so the board game.
Yeah, it just came in
Nice.
a couple of weeks back. So they made some improvements with it. And did you ever play Resident Evil 3 back on the PlayStation way back in the day?
Yeah, I played it on the console back in the day, and then I watched the movies with Mila Jovovich.
Well, you remember how in the video game, once you beat it, there was this game mode called Operation Mad Jackal, where you would pick a character and you had to run from the starting point, make it to the end point before you ran out of time, or the bomb implanted you would explode. You got extra time for killing enemies, and you could gain extra supplies and all that good stuff. Well, they put that mode into the board game, which is really cool. They actually did a good job with it. I know this isn't wargaming, so I'm not going to touch on it wholly too much. But Resident Evil 3, they actually did relatively well. So if you like Resident Evil board games, check out the videos. Finishing up the last one. It'll be up in a couple days. and you guys can see that. But as far as others Kickstarters, what is that? The name, the Civil War one. I just got the pledge manager email for it.
Oh, most fearful sacrifice for
Yep.
Herms.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just got the email for that. So that pledge manager is open, and I
Excellent.
have to wait until my next pay period to pay for it, or come up with a bribe for the wife.
Don't pay right now because they made a mistake with the shipping. The shipping's $31, so they made a mistake with it, and they're fixing it. So I canceled. I backed out of mine. I sent an email to them, and they're like, "Oh, wait, it should be less. It's still expensive shipping, but I guess it's a bigger box or something."
So what is it now?
It's 31 now.
Yeah.
You're saying 31 is too much for what it is?
No, for the shipping.
Yeah, that's
For the shipping alone. Yeah, 31's high.
I know it's
31's
high, but shipping's been going up here recently, so I can't tell what's really.
It hasn't tripled, dude.
Fango says he paid it. He was charged 24.
Okay, so they fixed it. 24 bucks.
Yeah, I mean that sounds more.
That sounds more like
in the
it's a
mid-20s.
big box. I don't know the dimensions of the box.
Oh, it's a big box. It's a big, heavy box.
It's huge. It's big.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah, and it's got that big mounted map. Yeah, it's got that giant 15 square foot mounted map. It's huge, so I can see it being expensive.
Let me ask this to the commenters as well, because I can't be the only one who does this, like with the wife. Because sometimes I'm wanting to get a Kickstarter, and I'm like, okay, well, she knew about a Kickstarter about a month ago. I'll just get this one and tell her, oh, it just charged late. I didn't know it was going to do that. I'm sorry, baby. Could you just transfer a little bit out into savings or out of savings to cover that for me? I appreciate that. Oh, I didn't know it was going to do that, you know?
Do you realize that your wife is watching this on her phone right now? And she's like, son of a...
It's like guys who play miniatures games like Warhammer or something like that. Their biggest fear is that if they die, the wife will sell all their miniatures for what they told her they paid for them, right?
Yeah. War gamers.
Oh.
I got this game for $20. Don't worry about it. It's 120.
Make a
Drop the
YouTube
one,
channel.
carry the 20.
You make a YouTube channel. You can just say, "Hey, the publisher sent it to me. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, exactly.
That's
it looks like they fixed it. So this morning when the email came out, it was $31. So they got.
Well, I'll get it in the next few days.
I
actually sent a reminder in my email to go back and fill that one out later. Yeah.
Gimpy's feed will suddenly go dark.
She's out there talking with her friends, so it gives me a little bit of time. I'm in the clear for now.
As long as she's like, that'll be the time she's like, oh, look here on the phone. Here's my husband. He's on this show. What did he just say? I'll be back in a moment, ladies.
Come on, she buys crap all the time. She keeps buying clothes for the kids. She keeps saying they're getting bigger.
Oh, kids don't need clothes. I mean,
she insists that we have to feed them every day. That they need to go to the doctor. I mean, all these are bills. I mean, all I want is a board game. She's insisting on all this stuff. That costs way more than a board game.
Kids can go without food for a week.
Yeah.
Right?
I went without food.
7 days, so go 5 days.
If they skipped a meal a day, you could probably pay for a game in a week.
That's actually something she gives me crap over because I don't eat that much. I tend to eat one time a day. And it's just, I don't know, a leftover from the Marines or something. I'm funky like that. Mm-hmm. And she constantly gets on me like, yeah, I eat dinner and that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, the kids eat more than once a day. They're not you. You got to feed them. I'm like, all right, well, there's like chips or something over there. They'll be fine. They can grounge. There's like grass in the field where they're playing ball.
They need to forage. You got to teach them how to forage.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yep.
Mike says, she's just biding her time. Charles says the advantage of being divorced. No wife to complain about my expenditures.
Yeah, but that's because she took everything already.
Yeah. He's still complaining about the alimony check, though.
There you go. Open up a separate account for investments. Problem solved. So, Kev, tell us all about your big wargaming retreat. You went out there and you were going to go play like a couple games, and next thing you know is you got like, 3 games going at the same time on that one giant table?
Yeah, it was room, so what you fill up, right?
Yeah.
I had one tiny little corner where I could sit and eat, right? But I had a good time. I played OCS the third winter. I played the little mini battle game that came in it called Scorpions in a Bottle. I played that. That was pretty interesting. That took a lot of time, given that it was the map's literally this big,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
there could have been 150 counters on the damn thing. So that was kind of crazy. So there was that, and then I played an MBT tactical three mapper. It was the Brits versus the Soviets, and I'll stickle, you're so special, and and then I had the Korean War set up. Now, truth be told, I really didn't start the Korean War scenario until after I finished the other two, and then I'd set up Russia Besieged, because I was avoiding it. I think mainly because I was really kind of disappointed with the counters and all that sort of stuff. But it ends up it was only a 1.5 turn scenario, the Chinese scenario. So I ripped through that. That was awesome. I forgot how much I liked that system. So I'm definitely going to set that up and play the whole campaign pretty quick here. And then I played a little bit of Russia Besiege, Case Blue scenario, which left me incredibly okay, it's the Russian campaign with a bunch of extra rules and Chrome and bigger fonts. I mean, I just was not that excited.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to give it another shot, but I just didn't get excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
All the extra work you got to do to play properly, I'd rather just play the Russian campaign, you know. So,
which Russian campaign, though? The classic that Compass is reprinting, or the one with everything in this kitchen sink in it that GMT's printing sometime?
Probably neither of those at the moment. I have I used to have the original Jedco.
Jedco? Oh, okay.
I've got the Avalon. Is it Avalon Hill? I think I've got the Avalon Hill version, and I've got the L2 version. I like the L2 version, bigger counters, bigger map. So it looks pretty.
That's what led to Russia Besiege, was the L2 version. Art Lupinacci got involved, and then he's like, hey, we can add some more stuff on it, and it grew. Yeah.
Look, I think all the things they added are really interesting, and I guess maybe after 7 days of gaming from 8 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night or whatever, I was kind of like, I'm just another extra special rule, just not going to do it for me. So and there's a few, and because I knew TRC, I kept trying to apply those principles and those rules, because it all looks so familiar, and then I have to stop and double check, and no advance after combat unless you're doing a blitz attack, and different air rules. And anyway, there's a bunch of stuff. So
I actually understand exactly what you're talking about, because I'll try to change theme or type or something in between games, because if they're too similar, I find the rules just bleeding over in my mind, and I'm constantly having to go back to the rule book and verify. Like, nope, I gotta just switch off completely into something else.
Yeah. Well, Mo, what about Protocon? You got to tell everybody about that, because that's the hot news.
Yeah, that was good. It was 2 days, or actually started on Friday night, but I couldn't go because it was my wife's birthday. So went out with her, went to see Black Widow, which was pretty fun. Oh, yeah. And I enjoyed it. It was Scarlett Johansson playing Black Widow.
Well, that could go wrong, right? I saw that too. Right.
Exactly. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. Some people were complaining about it. The only thing I would complain about with that movie was, why did it take so long to give Black Widow her own damn movie? I mean,
because she's a side character.
She is a side character, but she's still one of the main characters in the Avengers. So everyone else did. Why didn't she get one? So
okay, Hawkeye doesn't have his own movie.
Talking about side characters.
Yeah.
He's literally just like, hey, let's squeeze him in for 45 seconds here, and then towards the end they started trying to make him a little more relevant, but she was in from the beginning and had more important role than he ever had. So she definitely deserved a movie years ago. But
she was in because she looked good in a painted on outfit.
That never hurts either, but let's face it, her character was cool. And this one actually goes into the backstory of her and how it all came about, which I thought was really cool, even though it was kind of reminded me of The Americans, the TV show The Americans, which they could spin that off into that type of show. if they wanted to with Disney, they were doing all these
I think the
shows.
sister was hilarious.
She was awesome.
She was busting her chops all the time. I didn't like her as an actress, per se, but I thought her character was really funny.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, she was a ball buster the whole time. She was great. I loved it.
So why do you always do this stance?
Sorry, I haven't seen the movie yet, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Spoiler alert, she lives at the end.
It's Marvel. I mean, it's not like there's any big surprises in those movies.
Yeah.
You kind of know what's going to happen.
They're
A bunch of
both wearing
CGI
white outfits.
shit blows up. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
So what we did was we went to Protocon, which was a local convention, set up by people here in Dallas area, and the Lock and Load guys came out from Colorado and from all over, and they were showing off, like we were talking about with Point Blank. They were showing off the new World of War 85, Blood and Fury, and they were also showing off the naval game that's coming out, Second Fleet. And they did not have a prototype for the War in Europe game, which is going to be the operational scale World of War game. We talked about it, but they didn't have a prototype for that. They had the prototype parts for the Napoleonic games, which were interesting. They look pretty cool. The one that's going to be tactical, and then there's another one that's going to be more like the La Bataille series.
Yeah.
Not being big into Napoleonics, I thought the maps were really pretty. I really liked them and made me interested in wanting to know more and check it out. But I'm not like hiding drool like a lot of people. La Bataille, I love La Bataille, which is going to be great for the people who do. But one of the things that they were saying about that is they want to try to get a rule set that works, only one rule set, not multiples.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, no, La Bataille's it's been around, what, 40 or 50 years, and it's got multiple rule sets.
And every iteration, there's changes. There's 50 years of rules there, or 40 years of rules there. And that's why this guy who designed the Battle of Moscow one, La Bataille Moscow, or whatever it is, Terry, I think his name is Terry, designed that, and so I think he's tried to clean it all up, make the rules more consistent the way that he wants them to be, and then also try to streamline it so that you can have, like you said, a single set of rules, but then it'll be a lot more approachable. I think they're now going to split it up into potentially into basic and advanced rules as well. So with larger font, full color rules, it's going to be. I think it'll be a great if Lock and Load keeps it in print, right? I think it'll be an awesome series because it'll help people. The problem with La Bataille is they only make 400 copies of these damn things. So anyone who's interested, you got to go pay an arm and a leg for stuff. But anyway, I think that's awesome, man. I think the Waterloo one, or whatever that little Waterloo one is, I think that could be very cool too. I haven't seen very much about it.
No, it definitely looks good.
Did they play it?
No, they just had the prototype there, and then they also had the prototype for the Bitter Harvest, which really wasn't getting. It was the same thing. It was just looking at the prototype parts. Right. All the attention really was on World of War 85, and it was also the naval game. And then me and Keith sat down and played his new air game, which is completely new, like new to the point where I was the first person that played it with him, and we were like literally developing it as we played.
That's the one with the blue hexes, right? With the blue outlines.
Yeah, the giant mega hexes, the 5 mile hex, and it looks really cool. And we were playing it, and it was basically just like, here's the rule, here's what we intend to do, and then we discussed it, and we're like, yeah, okay, that sounds like good rule. Let's play it.
Is it dogfighting?
Yeah, there's dogfighting. There's everything. What happens is you get your pool of forces basically, and then you will set up your packages, your target packages. So you want to go for, if you're going Seed, Wild Weasel, air-to-air, strike missions, cap, things like that. Then you put your specific aircraft in there, and whichever one's better for which one. And it's got the same type of stat layout as World of War 85, so it's going to be very familiar. And then you basically launch them, and you use points that you get off cards or off basically it's like an initiative system. Like you roll to see who goes, and if you win the initiative now, well, I get a +1 for the next time. And then if you win initiative again and it's a dice roll off, I get +2. And then if I lose again, I get a +3. So I get +3, and then I win. That adds to my die roll. And if I roll, like, say, an 8 and you roll a 2, well, I get 6 points because I get 6 more than you. So it's kind of cool. And that may change too, because like I said, it's completely new in development. So you move your aircraft out on the table and you start moving them around. You have to change altitudes, the whole 9 yards. And if you're going to go in and it's like a low strike, you got to bring it down to altitude 1, which is where the ground target is, nap of the earth. And then you can go like, I think it's through 5 levels of altitude, like up to 50,000 feet. And you have to be on the same level to engage. And you can't see aircraft necessarily unless you have top-down, look-down radar, if you're above them, stuff like that, because you're at different levels and you're miles apart. So I do like the way it works. The
cool.
initial impression is very, very positive.
Are you using counters to represent altitude?
No, they're boxes inside the mega axis. So you'll have like a 1. If you see the pictures I posted, I think I posted some of the pictures. Dave posted them as well. You have all the boxes in there, and then it'll have like a dot, like a 1 dot, and then 2 dots, 3 dots, 4 dots, whatever. Those are the different altitudes.
Inside the megahex, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, it kind of sounds like Age of Dogfights. You know, that one with the different altitudes and having to be at the right level to perform your attacks. But that's all guns only. This, missile's way different. This
one is, if you go out there and you're going to like, I'm just going to launch my strikes, I'm going to start moving up there. If you don't move your fighter cover, if you don't keep your fighter cover with them, you're screwed, or you can get screwed because you can get jumped. So you want to make sure you got your fighter cover with them. And because we tested all that out, and I tested it out by just doing things stupid, because that's what I end up doing with a lot of games. Is they just say, what does this do? Let me try it. Oh, that's not a good thing. And then I find out the hard way. But that's how I tend to play games anyways. I explore. So we ended up doing this thing where I was basically, all my guys, when they were taking hits, you don't necessarily lose your entire wing at once, or your squadron, well, not a squadron, but the wing, they'll go loose. So that is like, they're not a tight formation, they're a loose formation, which also can simulate you lost a few aircraft, or they've RTB'd because they're just banged up a little too much, and so you're going with a lesser force. But I was a Soviet, so I was like, no, I'm going to keep pressing on until I get. He goes, you're really going to keep going? I said, hell yeah, I'm Soviets, man. If I don't do that, I go to Gulag. So I'm gonna press on and at least try to come back with no ammo and no fuel. And you can also have drop tanks, so you can extend your mission, stay on station longer. If you drop those drop tanks, that's it. You got RTB after that, and you literally have to move your guys back to base. So it's not like they just magically go back. You have to move them back, which I think is kind of cool. And overall, I really liked what I saw.
That's pretty cool.
And it's pretty fast playing. We were taking our time and screwing around and developing stuff literally as we went. We were trying out new rules and renaming stuff. And I says to him, and I hope he puts this in the game, but they were talking about the A-10s, different aircraft in the A-10s. I said, if you have an A-10 in this game, and he goes, oh, we're going to have A-10s. I says, you have to put Bert as, name the aircraft Bert. BURT. It has to have that call sign Bert, or just whatever, just name it Bert. And he's like, that's awesome, we're going to use that. So well, hopefully we'll see Bert in there, because I love the A-10. It's a flying tank.
Yeah. So did you play the naval game?
I did not get to play it, but I did get to sit with Steve and talk to him for a while about it, and it's really interesting. That one really has me interested as well, because I like the fact that you have limited ammunition on your aircraft. I mean, on your naval, on your ships. You'll have, like we were talking before the show, it may say it lists 2 harpoons. That means you got 2 missiles per harpoon. So you got 4 missiles. Once you go Winchester, that's it. You got to go back. You got to get back to port. Now, in most scenarios, it won't matter, because it'll be over before you get back to port. But when you play the campaign, you'll have to be worrying about who to ferry back to port, and who to get reloaded and get them back out into the fight.
They don't have like
cool.
refueling, rearming ships, supply ships, and stuff like that.
No, you can't. You can't. You can, like, tenders can refuel, like a oil burning. Something that burns oil. But most of these are nuclear reactor.
Sure.
Ships. But you're not going to be able to carry missiles around. You're not going to be like, hey, here's a couple Tomahawks. Amazon Prime's not going to deliver them 24 hours later.
Yeah, I thought it was free delivery.
So yeah, it doesn't work that way. So you got to get them back to the base to be able to load it up. But also when you do your like submarines, which I thought were pretty cool, the interesting thing is like the subs are a little bit different because it's not like they're just, okay, you move your sub along the thing. You can actually change your different depths, and that all comes into play. You have your thermoclines that you deal with and stuff. So I was like, oh, that's cool. The SOSIS line is in play. So that way it'll pick up subs that are, crossing the GIUK gap. All that stuff is in there. And I was like, that's really cool. And then you also have, when it comes to, we were talking about before the, what was it? The convoys. Like you have your convoys and your task force. Generally, a task force is in a circle. How he has it laid out now is in a strip, left to right, port to starboard. And he has the ships laid out in a line, and you try to penetrate the ring based on just going linear, which I think is pretty cool. And you can try to penetrate with your submarine to the first man and then do attack there. You push your luck and go a little further in. And once and this is one thing that's still in development, but he was saying that I'm not sure how he's going to handle the subs exactly yet. Once they shoot, do they just immediately vanish, or do you have to chase them? And I says, you have to chase them.
You have to chase them. They're not going to just immediately vanish.
Well, not just that. It would be like, okay, well, the sub, whoever's moving that sub in, the whole thing is, okay, I got to get in. I get my shot off, and now I'm safe. No, hell no. You got to get out of there. That's the way it is for a sub driver.
Yeah,
you got to make sure you get out of there.
Because they'll be sending helos after you and dropping buoys and all sorts of stuff, right? So
exactly.
And they can't just deep dive and run everywhere.
No. And that's the thing that's cool is plus I also think it should take into account, and I'm not sure how this is going to work yet, is one of the things I want to talk to Steve about. There's going to be 3 different weather zones too. So how is that going to change? Is that going to change sub detection as well? Because water temperatures come into play. Salience of the water does too. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things when it comes to subs because sub detection is its own art. So I think that's kind of really neat. But he's not going to drill down that deep because it's not that type of game. But he is making it. But he is making it. He's got enough chrome. And he's making it crunchy enough to where it should be engaging.
Is it going to be a fleet replacement? Do you think, or is it going to be no? No,
it's kind of like it literally has. It's not World War 85 on the ocean. But it is. It isn't, but it is, if that makes sense. It's not a fleet, but it's not World War 85 on the ocean, but it has that same type of vibe.
I'm not calling it out.
No. It's going to be, it's going to have that World War vibe as far as like you can get in and you can jam through a game and enjoy it and get really wrapped up in it. You can crank out a game in a few hours. It's going to have that type of vibe.
How far in development are they?
He's pretty close to finished. Just got to work out some last things, but I think he's pretty close to finished. I mean, not 90%. I'd say probably like 70% or so.
All right, so it's like final tweaks now at this stage.
Mm-hmm. Final tweaks, and then things like the submarines he's going to work on as far as test it and get people's feedback as far as penetrating the.
Was there any discussion about this? Bit of harvest. When is that going to be done? I mean, that's been going on forever.
That's been going on for a while. That should be hopefully pretty soon. That one is, I think that's also going to Kickstarter.
Did you put this down, Nate? So that's supposed to go to Kickstarter soon. Now, what about World of War, the second World of War volume or third, whatever it is?
That should be. Nuclear reactor could be refueled by passing cruise ship. John with the pithy comments. That one should be, I think, later this year, because what Dave wants to do is he wants to put out Point Blank, and then he wants to follow them on within a few weeks or a month.
All together, right?
Yeah, which I don't know how that's going to work as far as if that's going to affect people's backing them or not, but because it's like, okay, you're going to buy this one, you're going to buy that one, you're going to buy this one in short succession, just like Gimpy was talking about before. You got to hide that from your wife. How are you going to be able to hide 1, 2, 3 one after the other like that?
That's what, he needs to give some space, some pay periods in between.
Yeah,
people only have so much play money available.
Or offer a bundle deal, man. I don't know how you could do that, but whatever, right?
Yeah, and then there's going to be another giant map. They had the giant map scenario set up for Blood and Fury, which is really cool. And Jeff's really done a great job with setting that up and getting those prototype counters and everything it looked really nice on the table, and it looked real involved, which is pretty cool. So I think that's going in a good direction, because the World War 85 is just a great deal, and it's a great game, and it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot more to explore in that whole series.
Right. Was there any talk of other lock and load tactical modern stuff at all? Because there's supposed to be Grenada was supposed to be nearly ready.
Yeah, Grenada's still talking about Grenada. Fallujah, I volunteered a few years ago for that, and then I just kind of, someone else is doing it now. Someone else allegedly is doing it, so I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know. I'm sure someone is working on it, but I'd love to see a couple more.
Is Grenada done? I thought Grenada was done.
Grenada is supposed to be, or really close to finished, so hopefully they'll get that one out too to Kickstarter here soon. But
I think he gets a lot on his plate and bites off a little bit too much sometimes.
Yeah.
And with everything that you listed off, it might be approaching critical level.
Yeah, well, but, if he's just like with TNT, right? If it's a developer, a designer per title, and then a developer helping out somewhere along the way, then it's managing production, which is not as hard as everyone makes it out to be, because especially for them, they can do a lot of printing in-house, they can do the rule books in-house, they buy the boxes locally still, I think, in the US. I don't know. I'd really like to see them punch out a bunch of stuff. It's been forever since they've released something, I think, other than Over the Rhine or Beyond the Rhine or Next to the Rhine or One Step Beyond the Rhine or whatever it was called, the little plastic bag thing,
Yeah.
Now,
Battles to the Rhine.
I don't know if Sal's completely right on that, because I've heard about, filling a container, but I think you're allowed to purchase like part of a container as well, though.
You can, and it's expensive as hell, but it's easier if you can get more stuff in a container, because container prices are astronomical right now. I mean, what used to be $3,000 to get a partial is like $15,000, $18,000. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've heard that that's causing a whole lot of problems, and especially for Kickstarters that backed before the prices went through the roof, and they paid their shipping, and now all of a sudden shipping is 4 times as much as it was.
You owe us another $20,000 for your shipping, and it's like $20,000. For a lot of these companies, a lot of these publishers, think about it. If any of us were, we came up with a game, we got this idea, we got everybody to back it, which is the whole idea of Kickstarter, and then we paid all our bills, and they're saying you need to give us another 20. It's like, I got to go mortgage my house now to be able to pay you $20,000 to ship these games that now I'm making nothing on. I have to spend money to go to conventions to try to peddle the game there and try to, make $15, $20 or $40 a game, depending on what the price point is.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Well,
it's tough.
I think in the end that might end up being beneficial, because the cost benefit was the fact that things could still be made so cheaply over there that it was more cost effective for them to have it printed there and shipped all the way across the world than to just have it printed here or somewhere closer. Well, if shipping is going through the roof like that and it's delayed out the ass, then it's not as cost effective to go over there. It's going to be more cost effective to go somewhere else.
And Roy brings up a good point. He's saying War Diary Lock and Load game Princeton 1777 will be available on Thursday. It's one of the Battles on Demand games that you can get with the War Diary magazine.
I haven't got the most recent one of those. Wait, I think I did. When did the last one ship out?
It's coming out soon.
It's coming out soon. Okay.
I got the Atlanta one. I think that was the last version.
Yeah.
And I think I'm still subscribed. I'm going to check. Right. Make sure I'm subscribed.
If not, charge them double.
Send me a bill. Well, so here's the other thing, though. It's like companies are now starting to take, and I'm not talking about war game companies or gaming at all, but major corporations are starting to push back with all the shipping, and they've said, okay, that's fine, Mr. Container Guy. I will get my own ship. I'll get my own containers, and you will just load them at the dock, and I'll take care of this from now on. And thanks for playing. Now our community can't do that. Thanks, sir. The next, our community can't do that, but our community could also band together. I know Legion and Lock and Load, or Legion and one other company, have gone in and bought container space before, and then had it all coordinated so that they ended up getting stuff done to save money. So it could be done if you wanted to, or we could, work out how to do this in the United States or in another country.
That would be nice. I mean, look at Poland. Poland has impressed me.
Yeah.
Across the Bug River, that is some fantastic quality production right there. There it is right there across the Bug River. Kev has got on the table. He passed out. He wasn't able to get to it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm feeling a lot better. I think tonight or tomorrow I'll get started on it. But yeah, look, exactly. So if Europe can produce that sort of quality, and look at the Red Line Games, their titles.
Yeah, they do good.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, Brant. Here's the thing. Good to see that I caught up with Bug River 2 months after you had it. Well, good for you that you had it 2 months earlier. The rest of us plebs have to wait. Here's the annoying thing. And I sent this message to Kev because I knew he would get a kick out of it. That game shipped out of Texas. It shipped out of Denton, Texas, about 25 minutes from me. I was like, you could have just gave me the damn address. I would have gone picked it up like 2 weeks ago.
How long did it take to get to you?
Oh, no, just a day. But, they were saying there was some delay because of customs or whatever. And then they had to, I guess, get it into the warehouse. And I was like, I could just go over and get it. I could just go up and pick it up.
Right. And what was classy about all that is they had the delay. Well, so first of all, they made a mistake with European shipping. So they gave everybody credit back that they did that too. And then they said, hey, look, this is taking way too long. Not acceptable. Free shipping for everybody. I was like, sweet. Right?
Yeah. Good on Vuka Sims for doing that. That was a really good, classy move. And also 10% off the next game that you want to buy.
Right. And proactive is all get out too, right?
Yes.
So in fact, not this weekend, but I think next week I'll be interviewing the guys from there for their big modern title, Red Sky or whatever it's called.
Hell yeah.
I'm super excited about that. Yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm going to be in for that one. That one's definitely on my radar because it's modern hypothetical World War III. So
built on the Gulf Strike system, no less.
Yeah, so that should be interesting to see how they do that.
Man, we're just getting swamped with hypothetical World War IIIs here lately, aren't we?
Shut up.
No, there's too many. I don't think we have enough World War II, was it Eastern Front, and probably Normandy.
How many Bulge games do we have? How many Gettysburg games? Shut up. How many Stalingrad games do we have? We need more World War III. Bite your tongue.
I'm just saying there have been a lot of those. That
it's a renaissance, man. Just back off, right? You just get with the program. Boom,
I'm not hating. I really like 1985. I really enjoyed that one. I haven't got to play NATO yet, so I can't, comment one way or the other. But I will comment later on it. Oh, speaking of which, I mentioned this before we got started, but you guys stay tuned on mine because I will be covering combat from Compass Games here very soon. So. Big solitaire game I have not played, but it looks like it would be really up my alley. Very ambush-like I'm kind of hoping for.
Well, I can say this. I have not played Bug River, and neither has Kevin yet. We haven't played it, but I can tell you that you check your odds, you roll some dice, and you check the CRT. That's what I can tell you about the combat.
And you pull a chit. Right?
Yes.
Because based on the quality of your unit, it's going to determine the multiplier for your combat factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, so
which I think's
it's
really
a
cool.
chit pull and a combat results table as well.
It is not a chit pull in combat results.
No, it's variable power or
variable strength.
Yes, variable strength. That's it.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. I love that because you don't know what your units are like.
Yeah. And it's marginal, right? There's not a huge delta. So if your unit is a 4 rated quality, let's call it quality because I can't remember what the actual. I got the rules here. I can look it up if you want, but that'd be boring. So it's if you're quality 4, you might be somewhere between a 2 and a 4 in range, and if you're a quality 3, you might be between a 2 and a 3, or so it's. Yeah. Narrow band. It's not like between 2 and 10. It's not like playing.
You got a 10 and I got a 2. I'm screwed. No, it's not like that. They keep it real tight, but there is going to be variability, which is really, really cool. I like that because it makes combat questionable.
Yeah,
Do you
and
want to
really,
risk that
really
combat
good
or not?
history, really good history in this as well. It's
Mhm.
really well done.
That
Like
actually
good background.
that sounds
Mhm.
like it would be good for solitaire play because randomization is always a key component for a good solitaire game. Something to give you
Mhm.
any type of variable. It
And the
can.
other thing that's cool is on the Playrate. I don't know if you watched the video I did on it, but the Playrate cards are all like thick cardstock. They
Oh
literally
yeah,
look like the same
really?
stuff that you cut your dice or your die cuts from for your counters. They give you an entire solitaire sheet that has all of the charts that are on the map, so you don't have to turn your head and look at them. You look at them right there, just put it right down on the table, and you just do it all right from here when you're playing solitaire.
Yeah.
It's nice quality of life. I like that.
Yeah, fantastic. They thought of everything. I was very
User
impressed.
experience, right? It's the customer experience that
Yep.
matters. It makes a huge difference. If a game's a pain in the ass to get into and get access to, which is one of the things with the Korean War, with all those charts on the map, it's a pain in the backside. But then what they compensate for, which wasn't, I don't believe, in the original, it was they've got them all printed out now as well. In fact, 2 copies of everything. So there's a lot of charts in that game.
Yeah, it's kind of
So
like 2 Minutes to Midnight. That one preview that I covered a little while back.
Mhm.
I think you guys covered that one as well. That the the player aids were printed on the map, but they included an extra one for the Soviets. That way you could turn it around upside down if you were across the table for the person.
Mhm.
You know, I
right.
like it when they take that and make that
Yeah.
adjustment, make it easier on the players.
And that's a game that I don't see playing upside down until you've played it like half dozen times and you know it real well, because you need to look at at least I think you need to be both playing on the same side so you can look at the map and you can see what the situation is, what the countries are, and everything. Until you know the map well enough, the board well enough, you're going to need to see everything, because you can easily get yourself lost, screw something up, and find yourself behind the 8 ball pretty quick if you're not paying attention to the overall situation. And if you're looking at it upside down and you're not familiar with the map yet, you'll be like, oh crap, I forgot about this country, and you can do something wrong. So
I just didn't like seeing the hate that game got. Too many people were trying to say, well, it's just a clone of Twilight Struggle. Like, no, it's kind of like Twilight Struggle on steroids. Like it really took it to the next level.
well, Twilight Struggle is macro. This is very micro.
Yeah.
Twilight Struggle is very abstract. It's very high level. It's simpler because everything is done by cards. It's literally hand management to do things. This is crisis management everywhere around the board, and you have the card out there, but that you can play. But there's one card at a time, and if you want to coup somebody, you can't just pull a coup card out, or you can't pull a card out and say, "I'm going to coup you and roll a dice and use this," and boom. Here you've got to set up the coup and then roll for the coup, which I thought was cool. You really got to manage it. You got to build to that coup, whereas it's very abstract in Twilight Struggle. So
Yeah, you work towards your goals.
yes, it's very much a Wargamers version of what Twilight Struggle. It's what Wargamers would like Twilight Struggle to be more like, I think. And they're two different games, and they're both for two different audiences. I mean, you can have the same audience playing them, but they're not going to compete against each other at all, because they're completely two different types of games. So
It's what Twilight Struggle would be if it was a war game.
yeah, I guess you could say that.
Twilight
That's a good way of
Struggle.
putting it.
I think that one is one you could teach a younger audience or someone who's newer to war games or newer to that type genre of game to get them into it. But if later on they've played deeper stuff and they want something more intricate, then you bring them over to 2 Minutes to Midnight, when they understand the concepts.
Yeah. But I think it's pretty cool, and and like I said, I think they both can coexist fine, and neither one's going to detract from the other. And I think they're both complementary in that way, because they both deal with Cold War. That's the only thing that they share in common is the Cold War theme.
But they look similar when you're kind of just looking at the game.
Sure.
If you don't understand. And I can get why people would just look at the components and say, "Wow, it's the same thing." No, very different.
Yeah.
Same concept as looking at any hex and counter war game and saying, "Oh, it's the same thing."
Yeah.
It's just different
War games
colors.
all look the same.
Yeah.
War games all look the same. The only thing is a counter art. It's like totally different. I know Stigler was picking on Bug River, so didn't like it. He said it looked too Euro-y, like a little too Euro gamey,
Really?
because it was so bright.
You know what's great about it though is that you know exactly which unit belongs to which formation. There is no second guessing, double checking, no looking up a chart, no having to reference anything. You sit down, set it up, and you start playing the game. You don't have to worry about, half the time is that, does this go here? Does that belong to that? Is it attached? Is it unattached?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that is cool.
very easy, very approachable game, I think, if people find. And I think people will get a lot of replay value out of it as well.
Yeah. It's very visually pleasing. You can see everything on the board and understand it very easy.
Yeah.
The numbers stand out very, very, very well. So, because I was punching the counters and I put them on the map and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then the map itself, if you guys get the game, look at the map and don't just look at it from, like stand above it, look down, get down at the table level and look at the map, look at the detail of the trees. They have nice texture to them, and you can't appreciate it until you're down tabletop level and you look at it and you're like, wow, this is a really pretty map. The art was really worked on real well on this. A fantastic job.
And even the victory condition, victory points, lay it on the map, but they're really subtle. It's not like, oh, here's a big red 2 slapped on the city, and it takes you out of the immersion. It's a little badge on the corner with 2 little stars. That's two VPs for here, 1 VP for there, and it doesn't take away from the game experience.
I will agree 100% with that, Dakota. Compass Games NATO component quality is excellent, and barely any rules questions on BGG. That is a fantastic rule book. Yeah. And Bruce did an amazing job on it, and the game is fantastic. If you haven't gotten it yet, get it. And it's an 87-page rule book, which may scare some people and go, oh, I don't want to read that, but it's 87 pages for a reason. It's got a lot of illustrated examples. It's got a lot of supporting text. There's designer's notes in there. He really made it easy. There's some illustrated examples like Kev showing there. And then also he's got the veteran summary, which summarizes each of the different areas like supply or Zox or whatever.
Yeah.
And it might be 2 pages, 3 pages of rules, but if you read the veterans notes, you read the paragraph and now you understand what the Zox mean in that game and you move on, go to the next rule. So you save yourself pages of rules.
I think that's something that it's not necessarily a downside, 87 pages of rules, Yes, nobody wants to sit down and just read it, but a lot of people want to have that deep, chromy experience, and you're not going to get that with a 5-page rule book. It's going to have to be a big one.
Right.
I think some publishers try to hide the complexity of their game. They'll rate it a little lower than it should be because they want to try to bring in that wider audience. And it's like, no, be honest, because there are gamers out there that want that really deep, really complex experience, and they might overlook your game because you've made it seem like it's easier than it is. Be upfront with it.
Yeah, I think these guys do it well. I think he did a good job with, while it blew it up to 87 pages, it's not 87 pages of rules. It's 87 pages of summarized player notes, designer notes, bigger full color diagrams. And so it's probably a 35 or a 40-page rule book. And I'd be interested to pull out the old one to see how big that was. But that was a VG game, right? So that had the columns on the side. I think it's every bit of 35 pages anyway.
Yeah.
So I think this will be, I think he's just taken a different approach, and he's really tried to capture like experienced wargamers. Yeah, it's a fast way for you to jump into this, so don't be overwhelmed. And if you're a novice, well, then, get reading, right? And you pick something that's pretty meaty, but it's approachable, and everything is cross-referenced really well, I think, as well. I think you mentioned that in one of your videos, that it's super well cross-referenced, great index. So
there's something that there were 2 rules that overlapped in whatever section or whatever part of the game you're at. You logically can find that rule in either section, the explanation, because they overlap. So it'll say, well, this happens when this happens. You'll find it in both sections, so you don't have to go, oh, is it in this section or that? No, it's in both. Right. So the other thing too is the ball tap scenario. The first one I did the AAR on, that's the intro scenario. You can play in about an hour-ish, 90 minutes, and that gives you pretty much the majority of the rules you're going to be using throughout the game. Now, and it touches on some of the others. doesn't go into the nuke stuff. It doesn't go into the operational airstrikes and things like that. But you get a taste of, like I said in the AAR, I was totally out of movement supply because there's two different types of supply: movement supply, combat supply. Movement supply, if you get too far away from a city or from your headquarters, it's like, well, now you're moving at half your movement. But
Right.
I was playing the Russians. I got to run up the neck of Denmark. I got to go after the thing because I took Copenhagen right away. So I got to get everything else. And then it took me a couple turns to get to the target hex that I was trying to get to because I was out of movement supply, which is I had to pay that price. Now, if I was playing it harder against myself and wanted to challenge the Soviets, I could have tried to, but I knew that I was just gonna the Soviets were gonna just bypass the Danish and not worry about it. They were gonna go after the target hex because if you get into combat, then you are out of combat supply. Then you got to resupply, so you can't fight as easy. And I was like, yeah, I like that because there's a lot of considerations you got to take into consideration when you're playing the game. And then when you play the bigger scenarios, you got to work through getting units across the border if you're the Warsaw Pact, making sure you punch through those Zocs, get your breakthroughs, and then have units in reserves to exploit those breakthroughs because you can get through the breakthrough and then exploit. And the Zocs are very porous, so you can literally encircle guys and flank them and everything. It's really, really neat. It's a great game.
How are the zones of control porous?
Because you can still go through the zones of control because these are 15-mile hexes, so you don't stop when you go in there.
So it's not like it usually is, like you move in zone of control and you have to stop. Like this doesn't have that.
No, you can move through if you have movement points. So like if you're an armored, division or whatever, you can pay the movement to get into the hex, and then it's +1 for the Zoc, +1 to exit the Zoc. So you can, as long as you can pay the movement points, you can move behind guys. And so you may only move 2 hexes, and it might use 2 or 3 hexes to use up all of your movement points, your 6 movement points. But now you're encircling them. So now you're getting a concentric attack or a flank attack. So you're getting a shift on the CRT, which is really, really cool. And those are the things you got to think about as you do your individual battles. And the other thing that's neat is when you're the Warsaw Pact, you have to literally declare all your battles. You got to put battle markers on everything. So you're letting a NATO player know who you're attacking. And NATO has a lot more flexibility to how they're going to respond to those attacks. Take it on the chin or,
so
fight back.
Warsaw Pact moves, declares its attacks, and then NATO has a chance to move and respond before those attacks are performed.
Kind of like reaction or a reserve type of thing.
You can do reaction movement, like if you're going to attack a unit or a city or whatever, and you have a friendly unit that's next to him, he can react in to help and stuff like that. So he can react into the hex to fight with him as long as he didn't go over the 4 stacking limit. So there's a lot of cool things with this game. Bruce did a great job with it. That's a lot of fun. I think it's got a lot of legs and it's going to last a long time.
And I know I bring this game up all the time, but it reminds me a lot of Thunder in the East in the way that game plays, and the fact that you had the same concept. You had to declare your attacks. You could get pincer movements, hammer and anvil type stuff going on. And then there were a couple of different movement phases to help signify what units were faster than others. Some units were going to get a second movement phase where others weren't, stuff like that.
Right.
I really like that concept. I think it plays well.
Yeah, it's true. You do need high odds in NATO. And the combat's very bloody because you'll go in there, you'll just be like, oh, that division's gone, that division's gone, that division's gone. The next thing you know, you got a big, huge gap. It's kind of neat, especially when you play the surprise scenario because, which is the next video I'm going to be posting up. NATO basically just takes it on the chin because it's the first day they got surprised, and then later on they have to battle back. So you get smacked around in the first turn. If you're NATO, you're going to be very disheartened.
Yeah,
you're
but
like, damn it.
The CRT should kind of lean towards the defensive unit since it's easier to
defend. Yeah, that's why you need the high odds. You really need to get in there and have like 6-1 odds, 7-1 odds, 8-1. You need to, and then if you get up to 10-1, it's a guarantee.
Game over, man. Get nukes.
Yes, pretty much. And then you have nukes and you have chem. So that's kind of neat that you can use all that. So I think it's real interesting. And
that's all right. You just take a Marine company, you spread the platoons out along a large border, and they just stop the whole Russian advance. That's what Marines do.
There you go. And Nathan's saying Atlantic Chase is like that, big rule book, but tutorial book makes the game easily understandable.
Yeah.
But I think if I remember correctly, he also did Skies Above the Reich, and that rule book was written in a way where it was like a real thick rule book, but it was literally walked you through every step of the game. So like each page showed you big pictures and text as to what you did this step, and then flip over next page. It's the same thing. Here's your next step with big, images and text. So it walks you through the game, which is really cool because you can get right to playing. You don't have to read the rule book. You can just sit down and start playing.
Atlantic Chase is one of my shame ones. It's been on my table for a little bit now, waiting to be played.
I've got it. I just haven't even opened it yet. I have it. I just haven't even opened it.
It's nice. I mean, good components, good everything. Everything looks nice. I thumbed through the rule book, just a cursory glance, and that's about it at this point. But I really need to sit down and get that one covered because I've heard a lot of good things about it.
What about you, Kev? Do you have that one or?
Yeah, not interested.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to be interested in it or not. I have it, so I'm going to give it a look. And
yeah. I mean, I would try it, but it doesn't appeal to me in terms of something I want to go invest much time into at the moment.
It's not an OCS game.
Talking.
Well, it's not that. Yeah, it's not that, but it's also just time, right? I'm trying to be more circumspect with what I invest time in because I play enough dogs that once I start them, I want to get enough of a way through them that I can say, yeah, I was right. It is a dog. Or no, I was wrong. It's not a dog. It's just a small puppy, and it'll be nicer when I play it again with somebody else or something, right? This game, I had zero interest in Atlantic Chase. I had zero interest in the topic. I think it has really cool mechanics from what I've seen in terms of the search. Where is the unit? Where is whatever they're chasing? Whatever the Bismarck or whatever it is. I don't even know what they're chasing, right? But fuck it, I don't care. And so, but whatever that is, somewhere along that continuum is where the enemy unit is. And so that's a cool idea, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's notable for that, but I don't care.
You got to find their transient line, and then once you figure it, you got to nail it down to a point of where they actually are.
Yeah.
Generally.
I mean, I like the idea of it, what it's saying, because I do love the whole idea of combat in Atlantic combat, naval combat like that, especially back then when you didn't have the technology you have today, where you can, the ISR capabilities you have today. So back then there was a lot of guessing and getting all your data and trying to crunch, and it was a lot of the ship commander had to know how to you're outfoxing each other. So that is pretty neat, and I'm interested in that, at least checking it out for that. But I mean, as far as the subject itself, I don't know how much it will stay with me. If it's going to be something that's going to it might be like one of those things where I go, cool game, like the concept, it was a lot of fun. Probably won't play it again, that type of thing. But,
which is kind of what I think would happen with me, right? So I can't. Okay. I'll let somebody else have a fantastic time with it.
Well, I'll get to it soon. It's on the list to be done.
Well, we got mixed reviews on Atlantic Chase Marketplace is full of copies, rock bottom prices. I thought because it was sold out or close to selling out that it was going to go up in value. I was like,
well, there you go. Well, who published it? GMT? Is it GMT?
Yeah, GMT.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't trust GMT not to republish a game. So it's hard to hold on to their games and expect them to go up in value, right?
Well, I mean, it might be a while till it gets republished, so people want it now. It's kind of like Skies Above the Reich. Had that, played it, and it was exactly that thing. Cool game, okay, neat. It didn't stay on my table very long, and I ended up selling it because I was just like, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad game. It just, I was like, okay, I had my experience with it. Now I'm gonna sell it to somebody else and move on to something else. Because great production quality, but it didn't have the staying power. So
my problem with not that game, but the P500s is kind of what Kevin was alluding to, is the fact that you'll get the P500 and then you find out you could have got it cheaper if you'd waited a week and just bought it retail somewhere else, and it'll be like 15, 20 cheaper, and it's like, if I do the P500, I should be getting the best price, right?
Yeah.
Versus,
I can see that.
I'm helping make sure the game becomes a reality, so the retail price for.
Well,
it's funny.
You're backfilling their investment.
Right. Sometimes the P500s are really well discounted, and other times they're not as well discounted, or it seems that way. I haven't gone back and looked and like analyzed my last 10 years of buying crap from GMT, but it feels like some games you go, oh, $40 for that. I'll get that. But then you go, like you said, you can go to one of the online stores, and 2 weeks later, if you don't mind waiting till the wholesalers and the retailers get it, you can pick it up cheaper, right? Significantly cheaper.
Well, that's part of the problem. It's like, okay, so I know the distributor's getting it for, wholesale value, but if they're getting it for wholesale value and they're still selling it cheap enough that I would save a fair amount of money by getting it from them,
Right.
even including shipping, then that makes me kind of look at it like, well, why am I paying such a high price over here if I can just wait a week or two and get it cheaper over here?
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's not.
wholesalers-
I want to support. I want to support the company, but I don't want to feel like I'm kind of getting taken advantage of by supporting the company.
Right. Well, you know what's been cool? MMP has started offering the first X100 units get a higher discount on pre-orders, and
Really?
then the price goes up, right, to normal pre-order price. So that's encouraging people to get that first 100 or 200, and then they all go tell their friends, and that's driven
Smart.
a lot of games to fulfill their PXX number, whatever that number is, because MMP does it different. But they've now got a lot of games that are ready to go, and I can't imagine how they're going to get them all out this year. But I'd be impressed if they do. It'd be awesome.
No, I think that's a great idea. You're one of the first to jump onto it. You get a little bonus, a little thank you. Hey, cool.
Right.
I got no problem with that.
My price on one other games on pre-order, I can't remember what the heck it is. It's the I got to look it up. I think it's the International Game Series. It's Victory Awaits. That's what it is. Pre-order is needed $550. They have $495. So, victory lost, victory denied, and victory awaits. So have all three at that point. They should have done it in the red box though. They got the blue box for that one. Should have matched the first two.
Yeah,
with the red boxes.
That's goofy. Yeah, I've got a victory denied. I didn't get the others.
Now Kent says he's stepping back from game purchases because he can't deal with errata and other problems. Well, Ken,
that's not going
do
away.
you not realize errata is never going to go away with war games? I mean, unfortunately, that's I think we've all talked about that at various points. Errata is part of wargaming because you're dealing with big complex games, and there's always going to be something that needs an errata, whether it's a counter or misspelling or missing paragraph, missing sentence, or whatever.
Now, to be fair, some companies are better about errata than others. Like, some will have a lot more than others as far as that. Like, Academy Games, I think they tend to have less errata than others.
Because their games take about 7 years to come out.
Yeah, they play test the hell out of it.
Well, you produce one game every decade. What do you expect, right?
But you can't knock them.
No, not at all. You can't knock them in that regard. The one criticism I've always said, and I've told you this as well, is get the games. We want to see more games. So, and I understand they want that precision. They want to make sure everything's locked in, airtight by the time they get it out. But that is a good example right there about errata. It's like, you want errata or do you want the game?
Do you think it's the German in him?
It's the German. Yeah, it's the precision, getting the precision. That's why it takes 5 to 7 years for the games to be released after it's first announced, because they're making sure everything is perfect. And you see other games, it's announced and it's published in 2, 3, 4 years, and then there's going to be some errata, because if you're going to take 7 years,
I don't mind if there's errata. What I mind is if there's glaring mistakes. So if you miss a section of the map, or print the map in like 2 different shades of green, or if you miss
an unusable rule book,
or screw up the counters, or whatever it is, that sort of stuff, that pisses me off.
Yeah.
But if there's revisions, I expect that, and we
Sure.
I print it off or I print the full new rule book off. It's a few bucks of paper and ink, and it's okay, right? But I certainly don't expect to be perfect at all. And but I also don't want to wait 7 years for each game either. So
You're right about glaring errors. I've had one that I remember still is like the standout that had multiple errors. Like in the examples of play, there were mistypings, there was like double sentences. The solitaire rulebook for it was all butchered. I mean, it conflicted itself. Like one sentence would say one thing, the next sentence would say the complete opposite. It would say you were supposed to have 20 cards when there were 25 cards. You're supposed to have 15 when you had 19. The cards were misspelled. Like there were so many errors in that one, and the company did take steps to fix it. With that game, they sent out kind of like a free repair kit to everyone who got it, which was good.
right.
But a lot of those were errors that could have been avoided had they just had a fresh set of eyes look at it. Any fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
John saying MMP screwed up their website, sent him 2 third winters for top dollar because their old and new websites couldn't share info. You can send me one of those copies for low dollar.
Yeah. I don't get MMP, man. Buddy of mine, I told you he works for him, and he's still barking at him, trying to get him to do more stuff with reviewers, like YouTubers and podcasters and the whole line, and they're just kind of resistant.
They've got their audience. They've got all
their core audience,
all the OCS players, and all the let's call them the gamers players, right? All the DSE guys. So they've got a core audience, and that I guess they don't really care that much. I know that Carl Fung is trying to do more in terms of recruiting people and writing about the games and stuff like that, and he does a really good job. But he's about the only person I know that's kind of internet savvy over there,
Well, you do a lot of OCS stuff. I mean, they should be definitely courting you and saying, "Hey, take a look at this. You want to do an extra video?"
Never heard from him.
I pushed your name to him a couple times actually, and you're welcome, Jay. That was a big undertaking.
Yeah, they had a release an errata tri-pack.
Yeah.
An errata tri-pack. Was that for the Men of Iron tri-pack, or was it for a different
Revolutionary War?
3 games that were messed up. Look, GMT does a great job with that, right?
There you go. 2 sets of Rod Max after that Fire Emblem War come out from the same.
There's my boy Clay.
The thing about it is, though, is if you're firing these people that do this stuff, most of them are volunteers. So
exactly.
That's the other thing is people don't realize the work that does go on behind the scenes. There's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are doing it because they love the hobby. And here's what I've always said is you can either bitch about it or do something about it. So if you feel that there's a problem and you feel strongly about it, then get involved. Say, hey, I want to be a proofreader. I want to do whatever. And you don't have to do anything really involved. You can just be a proofreader and give another set of eyes, a fresh set of eyes to look at a rule book and say, this doesn't make sense and here's why. Or there's misspellings, whatever, bad grammar, pointed out. Publishers need that. We all need that.
If they'll listen, right? I mean, and things have changed a lot, I think, now with Dropbox and Vassal. There's ups and downs with Vassal, but all that sort of good stuff. But I think that's made it easier for more people to help. In the past, when folks have tried to help, it's often, I don't want to hear you call my baby ugly. I don't want, I don't want any of the feedback or you don't understand, right?
Look, I've spent some times in nurseries here recently. A lot of people have ugly babies. All right, that's just truth of life.
And look what they grow up to. Look what they grow up to be.
What, this?
You.
No, friggin' straight gorgeous. You understand?
I'm blowing out my vape here, and Kev starts coughing. It's like, wow, we really have a high quality video here.
Well, I was gonna say you might want to put my screen on the top so he's not coughing his germs down on me over here. I've been wiping off my head.
Oh, wrong way.
And Mike agrees. He's saying, please volunteer. It's an all volunteer army, and we're looking for recruits. So it's true. I mean, go to whoever you're a fan of, publisher or designer or whatever, reach out to them, say, hey, how can I help? I want to get involved. And they'll point you in the right direction, because all publishers need help. And all wargamers say we want no errata, or we want less errata. Well, be part of the solution, not the problem. And that's how the problem will be solved, is if everybody steps up and does a little part.
Look at you, Mr. Proactive, happy guy. Oh.
Well,
hey, gotta do. I try to get involved in a lot of different ways, and try to help out, and that's how you make things better.
Yep.
Well, there's a happy medium, right? There's that happy medium of just enough perusing it and having troubleshooting and people taking a look, just to make sure you've hit the most, and then if there's a couple misspellings or a word here or there, clarification, that could be handled later. Versus the UVA 9999, we must always look, we must, no errata. Again.
If they take my money, it's not voluntary, it's a business. No, the production of the product itself is actually done by an army of volunteers.
Yeah,
buying the game is a business transaction.
Yeah, the publisher makes money, and the publisher owns the problem. The developer and the designer are the volunteers, because they make relatively next to nothing. It's the publisher that makes all the money, and then there's plenty of money to be made in these games.
Sal, you're kind of right on it. Too many people they're getting used to instant gratification and don't want to wait for things, and I would rather wait a little bit longer and get something that's been taken care of, and most of the errata's been troubleshot before it actually gets to me. So many people now, they get it instantly. Everything's downloadable, so they want it now. Now, that's one of the things I keep trying to tell publishers. Like, look, if your release date for a Kickstarter or a backing or whatever it is, you think you can get it in someone's hands by August at the latest, tell them September. They'll be happy if they think they got it early, but they're going to be pissed if they think they got it late. Like, give yourself that extra time. I still don't get why there's not one company that has ever hit their damn goal, I think. Maybe once or twice. I have never gotten a Kickstarter on time. Have you guys?
Yeah. Vento Nuovo has released and delivered early.
They're really good.
Okay.
But just saying, there's one.
No, Kev's right. They are good at that. They really have their system down pat. They follow through with what they're going to do, and even though it's not Kickstarter, Fabrizio also does a great job with that. Because he does not give it. Well, he's also smart. He doesn't give it a specific date until he knows.
Yeah.
So because he knows that things can happen, and shipping and everything else. Good example. Black Swan was early, so that's Vento Nuovo.
I don't have. Well, I mean, like you were saying, Vento Nuovo, and I gotta say, I've only gotten one game from them that I think I can remember off the top of my head, but I think it did arrive on time. The Stalingrad, Inferno on the Volga. Remember that one? Yeah, that was a really good one. I like that one.
Also got that one.
Yeah. So I think we're coming to the end of the show here, but we've got about 90 minutes in, and it's been, like I said, about 6-7 weeks since we've been able to get going here because of summer and family stuff that we had to do. So we'll get back on our regular schedule next month here. So we'll have another show in a couple of weeks. And we didn't talk about one of the things we were going to talk about tonight, which we'll probably do on the next show, which will be after the fact a little bit, but it'll be about the Charlies, because don't forget the Charlies Awards. They have 4 days left on the voting. So you have till the 31st to get your votes in for your picks for the Charlie Awards. No U-Boat. And make sure that
U-Boat War Game of the Year, baby.
Map of the year.
Exactly. Everything of the year. I mean, okay, quick. What's your game of the year, Gimpy?
What, right now?
Yeah, for last year. For
Age of Dogfights.
Okay, Kev?
No idea.
Really?
Stalingrad.
Kev does not have an opinion? Kev doesn't have an opinion?
Well, I mean, I can't think of one game that I know of.
I put you guys on the spot last second because I just thought of it myself.
I have no idea. I'd have to go look at my BGG plays. I have no idea.
Look, I'd say Brotherhood and Unity for me.
No, yeah, there you go. Great game, right?
Yeah, it's a really great game. So that's just a quick in a nutshell. And then where do you vote? you can do a Google search for Charles S. Roberts Awards, and you'll be able to get to the website. I forget what it is, unless someone knows the website here. They can put it in the chat because I don't know it off the top of my head. Jaws of Victory. Was that 2019 or 20?
I think that was 2019.
I think that was 19. Yeah.
Stop screwing things up.
And then we have Bayonets and Tomahawks or NATO, but those are 2021, so that'll be next year.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, NATO is going to be my my pick for next year. So I mean, I already know that because I don't think there's going to be any game that's going to come out this year that'll come close to it.
Unless Aaron Armour comes out.
Aaron Armours are not going to be till next year.
Not War Games, but Core Space. The next one of that's coming out. Core Space is still my all-time favorite game.
Nice.
Yes.
And now is that the one that the dude does all the minis? Is that guy?
It's got minis, but I don't know what you mean by dude does all the minis.
Well, he's the guy that
He does all the minis.
He did the card game. Is that guy that did the card game?
No, Core Space is done by a British company.
Yeah. Okay. No idea. Whatever.
Yeah.
Next.
It's the one that's got all the terrain with it. The terrain's put together. It's got neoprene mat, good minis. Real good components. World at War 85 would be good, but it didn't release. Yes, Blood and whatever it's called won't probably be released until next year, so it'll be a couple years before it'll be available for Charles.
Yep. Well, we'll have to see. Hopefully it'll happen. But so everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. Really appreciate it, and I hope Kev feels better. Gimpy, I hope you have a little less pressure going on with all the kids driving you crazy, and we all have a little bit quieter, smoother next couple of weeks till the next show. And like I said, everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight, and we'll catch you guys on the next show. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Peace.